Hello everyone and welcome to a very busy edition of Racing360. This weekend in Hong Kong we're taking you racing in 3 different countries. We're going to the UK, France and Japan. UK hosting the Epsom Derby tomorrow night, and what a race it's shaping as with the unbeaten superstar Dawn Approach, 7 from 7 going to the post as a deserved favourite.
Certainly is the deserved favourite, though. Will he stay, though? That's the query everyone really needs to answer tomorrow night. But yeah, very much looking forward to that, to 2 Hong Kong horses in Japan, and also the French Derby, the best of France. Yeah, the French Derby to look forward to on Sunday evening, as well as the big Group 1 in Japan, the Yasuda Kinnan, in which we have good representation from Hong Kong, Elaine Spirit and also Glorious Days, David.
Yes, 2 very, very good racehorses and good standard bearers for Hong Kong racing, which has enjoyed a tremendous time, especially when they travel overseas, as we've seen recently.
So the Epsom Derby program tomorrow night, you'll see from Hong Kong, 8:30 onwards our simulcast begins, with the first race 4 broadcast at just after 9 p.m. Unfortunately, weather conditions aren't so great for this meeting. The track currently rated good to yielding, with showers expected tomorrow night.
Yes, weather has been a big problem in Europe for the last couple of summers in actual fact, but certainly in the Epsom area they've had quite a lot of rain. They raced at Lingfield Park, which is near Epsom in Surrey, on Thursday, and that ground was officially ended up being heavy. So you'd imagine, Joe, it'll certainly be on the soft side of good at Epsom.
And of course on Sunday we see the running of the Yasuda Kinnan and also the Prix de Jockey Club from Chantilly. The Yasuda Kinnan at 20 minutes to 3 on Sunday afternoon, and it's a late one for the French Derby. Looking forward to that. A lot to discuss on this show, and we're going to start off with the big one, the Investec Epsom Derby. And it's all about Dawn Approach, isn't it? The unbeaten horse, 7 from 7, drawn in gate 7.
Yes, a marvellous racehorse and a great credit to connections. Hard to imagine a horse making such progress as he did. He made his debut at the Curragh over 5 furlongs on the very opening day of the flat season in his juvenile career, and he's progressed from race after race after race.
His recent win in the 2000 Guineas was something.
It was very special. He wins by 5 lengths. He just really grabs the whole of the race here as well. Kevin Manning gives him a couple of cracks, but doesn't have to get overly serious, or never really threatened. And to be honest, the further the race goes on, like the more he's pulling away that little bit more. The question is that this is over another 4 furlongs, so it's going to be that much harder for him. I think he would easily stay 10 furlongs, but on this track as well, and as David has says, the ground will be that little bit more testing as well for a horse that has these stamina queries. He's going to be short odds as well. That's the other thing. I mean, there for the Guineas, he was about a 7-4 favourite. But tomorrow, I'd imagine in Hong Kong, he's going to be odds on, because generally the prices here are a little bit shorter than you would find normally in England, where he's about an even money favourite.
So the question is, can he emulate the feats of last year's Derby winner at Camelot by coming through a victory in the 2000 Guineas?
Well, Camelot, he did it, and then didn't turn out to be great after that. You know, things sort of went on the skids for him afterwards. I'm going to oppose him tomorrow night, Joe, ourselves, but as you see there, on the trends for horses going there, Camelot's done it. See the Stars did it, but he was exceptional. And I don't think any horse would match up to See the Stars. He's much better than Camelot. He was unbeaten, won the Arc afterwards, won the Eclipse. We'll get to the French horse as well, Joe. Pour Moi, he took the same path. He won the Prix Griffoul Okavango. That would be number 11 on your card. He has taken an identical route and also trained by Andre Fabre.
The Dante Stakes, as we saw there on that list, is one of the prime lead-up races, and if they perform well there, they go on to perform well in the Derby, as was the case in recent years with Workforce. What about the recent winner of this race, Libertarian, who lines up in the Derby?
Never looked like he was going to win it. He was off the bit all the way up the straight as well, and he's just about in the last there as well, Dave. Surprised he got up.
I was very surprised he won this race. He's quite a nice type. He's by a New Approach as well, the same sire as Dawn Approach. However, he doesn't quite have his ability. The Dante has historically been quite a good guide for the Derby, but I would just wonder if this was quite as good a Dante as we've seen in previous years. Aidan O'Brien ran an average horse in the race who ran quite well. I would say more so to get a gauge on what he's coming up against at Epsom. I'd be surprised if this horse figures at Epsom myself.
Third home in that race, Indian Chief. We'll see him running the French Derby probably as well on Sunday night. But Libertarian, I think he's more of a horse for the St. Leger come, you know, over 1.6 miles come September time.
What about the recent Derrinstown Stud Derby Trial Stakes winner, Battle of Marengo?
Nice horse. This was just a 4-winner race. He did the donkey work, did it the hard way, but a couple of people said that he didn't really impress, but, you know, he's did what he had to do. He'll stay further, no problem. I don't think Joseph O'Brien has to get too much of them there as well. Never really threatened, was he?
Never really threatened. He's an interesting horse, Battle of Marengo. As a juvenile, he broke the course record at that track, Leopardstown, despite his saddle slipping. He's won his last 5 races. He's certainly going in the right direction, and he's a strong contender in an open race.
Okay. And Okavango, we move on to now, the French horse. I know, Jeremy, you're quite keen on his chances.
Would be, yeah, unbeaten, 3 from 3, and in this race, his young rider Pierre-Charles Boudot, he's always made the running here, and doesn't, as I said earlier, I think he just gets one crack at the whip. He's threatened by a horse here, Bravadino, who's going to be one of the major players for the French Derby on Sunday night, but just pulled out enough. He's fast improving, and Andre Fab, he was interviewed on sportinglight.com earlier in the week after the horse did some track work gallop at Epsom, identical to Pour Moi as well, the same day, the same gallop. And
Prix Graffoul has been the chosen route, yes.
Yeah, and I think he'd be a horse, he'd be racing handy, and I think he'd be dangerous.
You a fan of the horse?
I am, yes. I think the Prix Graffoul run was impressive. I thought he did it quite well. His preference for a softer surface will also stand him in good stead. Some people are slightly concerned about the jockey and his ability to handle a big occasion on a day like Epsom Derby Day, but he's going to get a ride in a race prior to the Derby. He's been round there on the press morning as well, which is a big help, and he follows a similar path to Mikel Barcelona, who was actually having his first ride at Epsom when he won on Pour Moi. I think he's very solid, Okavango, and on the likely prevailing ground, I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
Okay. We move on to Ruler of the World now. This horse, the winner of the Chester Vase.
Yes, which is a very, very good trial, the Chester Vase, and he's actually the only horse in the field who's actually won over this trip, a mile and a half. It's a nice performance. He raced a bit lazily that particular day, but he put a lot of daylight between him and the rest of the field. He's a half-brother to a very good horse called Duke of Marmalade, who would have been an absolute champion, but for the fact that he got injured at 2 and raced throughout his 3-year-old career, having broken a bone in a small part of his leg. So Duke of Marmalade was very good. I think Ruler of the World is very useful too. Didn't race at 2, but 2 solid starts at 3, and he looks a real stare.
I like the look of him as well. Ryan Moore to take the ride. As you say, just raced a little bit, got off the bit a bit before the turn of Chester,
yes.
But quickened up well then. And of the 2 prime players from the O'Brien yard, I would have a preference for him.
I would too. I think the fact that he's won over the trip is a big positive, and his lazy, relaxed style will also stand him in good stead.
Andreas Waller has a representative, Chopin?
Yeah, that's right. German horse. He's been bought into by the Qatari interests. Andreas Waller said in an interview earlier in the week that had the horse not been sold, he would not have taken this route. So his new owners are keen just to have an Epsom runner. He said, had he not been sold, he would have gone for the Italian Derby or maybe the French equivalent. He won his prep in Germany pretty good, but German horses in a race like this, I think it might just come a little bit early for him. Could be a decent horse in time, but not just yet to win.
I think he's an interesting runner. They went to Dusseldorf with him, which was the nearest track they could find in Germany, to replicate the Epsom track, and galloped him the wrong way around. He did that very, very well. The owners have adopted quite an aggressive approach to buying bloodstock. They've bought up pretty much what they wanted. They seem to have the budget to do that. But the fact that the trainer has said it wouldn't be his chosen route, but now it is, would slightly put you off. And that comment would apply to Dawn Approach also, who has a supplementary entry for this Epsom Derby on the insistence of his owner, Sheikh Mohammed. Jim Bulger's initial thoughts weren't that he was a Derby horse, which would create a little bit of concern in your mind too, wouldn't it, Charlie?
I think it would. I think it's very interesting also. I read an article about, there's a site that Bulger is involved in. It's called Equinome. It's a company based in Ireland, and it goes through the genetics of horses and what their optimum distance will be. And Bulger's a bit of a player here. And this horse, he's what they call a CC genetically. So in other words, that his optimum trip is a mile, and he won't get any further. 90% of horses won't win over 10 furlongs. Now this is over 12 furlongs. So there might be a conflict of interest. So, you know, his company would say one thing, but obviously he wants to win the race and Sheikh Mohammed also. So that might be interesting too. But yeah, just set it against him, and then you look at the likely odds he's going to be odds on, he's a risk.
From a commercial point of view, however, it's important. It would be great if he won it, but not the end of the world if he didn't, because of what he's achieved already. Were he to finish second or third, in many respects, it's just as good for him as winning.
But on the authority of that 2,000 guineas win, you'd think he might defy his genetics and those findings?
I think he will stay 10 furlongs, and I could imagine him later down the season. Maybe they won't go for the Eclipse, but something like the Irish Champion Stakes or the Juddmonts at York in August, I think he'd win that no trouble. But this race, it comes too soon, over 1.5 miles.
Okay. On face value, to me, it doesn't look like there'll be any issue with him staying the distance.
Possibly not, and it would be good for racing and good for all concerned if he were to win, because he's a marvellous racehorse and he's really put racing in the proper headlines. I would have slight concerns, however, and I'd be keener on Okavango.
The fact is also as well, Joe, I mean, people, if you want to believe that he can't stay it, people point to the fact that he's a very relaxed horse. He's almost sleepy in the paddock and he sort of wastes no energy beforehand. So that could serve him well. I'd imagine, given the likely tempo of the race, we'll have two probable pacemakers from Ballydoyle, and they might want to stretch him a lot. And on that holding ground as well, that could work against him. I'd imagine Kevin Manning would have him sort of third or fourth in the run, and he'll travel. He'll get round Tottenham Corner fine. He's a very well balanced horse, but when it comes to the furlong pole as well, what's left there we shall see. I think it might be a bunch finish.
Yeah, and you make a very valid point. Beyond analysis of the race itself, his appearance in the Derby is so important for the global perception of racing in general, isn't it? It's finally a positive amidst all the rather negative headlines we've had in recent months.
Well, we've been very lucky, certainly in Europe in recent years. We've had some real superstars that have kept racing at the proper headlines. Frankel et al. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that he's going to turn out to be Frankel, but he's going the right way. He is unbeaten, and he's a really, really good racehorse.
Okay, looking forward to seeing where the Dawn approach can defy the growing quarter of critics who think he might not stay in the Derby. It's time for a break. Let's reflect now on the win of Pour Moi in this race.
And they're off and racing for the Investec Derby behind the Seville Recital and Pour Moi. Pour Moi from a long way back. Treasure Beach got to the front in the Derby. Memphis, Tennessee and Carlton House in hot pursuit. Out in front, Treasure Beach. From in second, Carlton House. Pour Moi coming strongly down the outside. Treasure Beach just in front. Pour Moi coming on the outer and celebrates as if he's won the Derby.